All right, all right. My daughter is here today for the time being. She's here. I'm gonna have to mute her because she makes a lot of noises. Hey Yazgi, hey Zealand. Hey Fuxia. She has a condition where she pants a lot, so I'm gonna have to mute the microphone for the time being, while her mother helps stuff. But I'll mute it. You'll see me. I'm gonna experiment with sketching technique. I'm gonna do a monster. No, I mean she makes a lot of noises. That's the only reason. It's not. You can't hear. Not gonna hear anything. She's like panting and like making, raspberry noises and stuff. Yeah, I'll reiterate. I'll switch the camera or the microphone on, but I have the noise switched off for the time being while my wife is sorting stuff in the kitchen, and she's sitting on my lap, but she makes noises, and to save you guys, I mute. Yeah, that's why. Literally sorting stuff. We got delivery because she's in a risk group. We can't really expose her to the outside currently for the virus, and so we gotta be extra careful. That's why we order home a lot of food.
Food.
Food. Do you like food, Matilda? What do you like to eat, Matildis?
Äpplet.
Äpple?
Äpplet.
Apple is what she likes. Say my name. The shortcut. I think shortcut is there's more than one, but basics you have to do. That's mileage, like understanding how things work, color, light, volume, line quality, and things like that. But then also there is like the whole idea of working smart rather than hard, so that if you work hard, you won't necessarily make it that much further than smart. So it's like knowing what you want to study, zero in on things that you want to study, things like that. It's a long topic. Can you say a good morning?
Good morning, huggastiksena.
Say good morning, chat.
Good morning, Chan.
Say my name. She speaks 3, but she has a condition, or a syndrome rather, unfortunately, which compromises her abilities. But she speaks all 3, which the geneticist was like, how is that possible with this syndrome? But yeah, that's good. But yeah, she has issues like autistic traits due to this syndrome, and all these kind of package deal. with this like this syndrome that she has, there's this behavior associated with it because it's like a neurological. Hold her breath. Like now, she's kind of holding her breath, and it's really, really stressful, both for her and for us. She still hasn't breathed. Still holding, and there you go. Now she's breathing, which is crazy. Pacobra, it depends on technique. It depends on purpose. Because now I'm like fully exploring the thing I'm drawing. I'm experimenting. I'm drawing with one hand because the other hand is holding her, but the whole idea of doing this style is that you allow yourself to have happy accidents, and when you're making the happy accidents, 1 second. Is when you're making brush marks and happy accidents, you're feeding the decisions that you're making. Like over here, this could be a knee pad or muscle or anything. So whatever marks I make now informs the next mark. So without me doing line drawing underneath or structure, because as soon as you make structure, you're planning ahead, and at the moment I'm not. I mean, it is, and it's more than one thing in this syndrome. It's very stressful, because with this syndrome also comes heart conditions, and if you're holding your breath, you know yourself how it increases heart rate, which isn't good. So it's like you don't know what to do. And currently we can't take her anywhere, because of the virus, and people with risk groups and heart conditions, they shouldn't have this virus. And she needs actually a heart monitor. We can't get it because the hospital is where they store the sick people. So we just have to wait. Hope that nothing crazy happens with her. Rooney, well, thank you. Well, we didn't know either until we did the test to check this condition was optional, but we of course want answers. So it's good that we did agree to genetic test, because all the additional complexities with the disease or condition, we wouldn't know if we didn't know that she had this. But my daughter has the atypical kind, which is less heavy. The full-blown this genetical disease is really horrific, and we don't know to what extent my daughter will have it, because she has atypical, and she doesn't follow any like curve or anything. She has just maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. Time will only tell. So we don't know. I mean, no, it's genetic. It's in her DNA. It's a random mutation in the DNA. Say my name. Yeah, it's kind of something like that. Just playing with those basic ideas of Samus. The Samus design is just orbs and legs in a gun hand. So I'm just kind of letting happy accidents feed each other. The intent was to experiment with selections, but it's really awkward now that when she sits here is moving and I can't have my second hand free. So I'm experimenting. But it's getting there. But as you can hear, her breathing isn't like normal. It goes up and down all the time. Well, you have to sleep. What can you do? You can't not sleep. Then what good are you for her? So you gotta work hard on everything. Not till this. Eller hur? Work hard.
Not.
Saki, work hard.
Vad tar pappa?
No, ja. Jag måste upp. Nej. She has a crazy hair day, as you can see. She gets it from me. Today her hair is all over the place. No? But like I said, what good are you if you can't be there for them and help them? If I burn myself out on stress and don't sleep and crash, how can I help her, you know? So it's just a matter of there's no choice at not. But to be honest, like one of the worst things is knowing like that she won't have quote unquote normal life, you know, like you would hope for your kid. In a way, it's like a lost opportunities forever. But then again, it is what it is, you know. You can't go back in time and change anything. You have to make the best. You are the best.
To是 best Dina.
You're the best.
Näppätä jäpä shabosti.
Jaså, tycker du inte om sången? Nepotism.
Näppätä tätä.
Ladno. Stress management. There's a lot of different Matilda Bates, not sure. There's many different ways of dealing with it. but it is very stressful regardless. Just make sure you breathe, make sure you don't, for me, what I have to do is make sure I don't hang on to worries or what's it called in English? When you wallow in it. What you got to do is just kind of what I always said, like what has happened, it has happened. It can't be changed, right? We can't go in and go back in time and alter anything, or I can't go in and remove it from her, right? She has it. So I have two options: ignore it or try to make the best out of it. And I chose to try to make the best out of it and move forward, you know. I think the stress with it, like stress with working, stress with life, or stress with things like that in general, I think is really important to learn to deal with what's now and what's coming rather than what's been, because you can't change what's been. You can only change like what's happening right now and what's coming down the line, and you can only prepare the best you can for what's coming down the line, because you have no idea what's coming, right? So all you can do is just try to like improve yourself or learn or be ready for whatever comes in terms of anything, and not to worry too much about the kind of minute things or it's a tricky one. It's tricky. It's hard to say how it, you know, best way to deal with it. But I guess not hide from anything, like you know, hide away from challenges or hide away from difficult things. I think that probably works the best. Like deal with the troubles rather than hide from the troubles, because if you hide from the troubles are still there, right? And they will always be there. And worse is if there is something that you don't want to deal with, let's say, you know, do the necessary move or whatever, you know, whatever stress is in your life, and if you hide from it and then the next thing comes and stacks and you haven't solved the first one, then you have two things and then three, and then, you know, so for me best is to always like try to deal with it and be upfront with it, and whatever stresses you of anything. So same with, let's say, work, right? Like, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta learn that, you gotta, oh, I wish I wouldn't have messed up that contract, or like the difference there is like you can't stress over the fact that you messed up a contract, let's say, but what you can do is you can learn from the mistakes you did on that contract. You can like think about what you did wrong, maybe time management or whatever, and then you can solve it, so the next time that situation comes up you're better suited to deal with it. So it's the same with stress in that side kind of things. Like if you always try to not let it control you and deal with it, it's much easier to stress. Like the time where she needed CPR in a restaurant. First time she had a seizure, could have easily just stood and screamed and be scared, or jump in and help her. Killy. No? Titta, vem är det? Nej. Katsitis. It's me, you've been stacking since 83. Yeah. Pro 42, yeah, absolutely. That's another really important thing is you gotta allow whatever the emotions are, especially, yeah, exactly. whatever the situation is and whatever like physical stress or whatever it is, but emotionally you have to give it space. Like it's the same thing with like suppressing, not dealing with the problem is still going to be there. It's the same with like the emotional aspect. Whatever emotional thing you don't want to deal with is still going to be there. It's still going to suppress unless you deal with it to the point where it's not the problem anymore. Like I remembered many years ago when she was 4 or 3, and we kind of figured out that that she had some like autism only, but we know that she has more than that now. But I remember sitting like 2 in the morning reading about it, and everything just kind of the check marks got ticked one after the other, and I had like this sensation of like, okay, this is actually what's happening here, right? There's no denying. So I just let it all go one night. Just sat here and wallowed in it. Then following day in the morning, I was like, all right, like dust off the like my hands. Okay, let's deal with this. Let's solve it. Let's help her, right? I allowed those feelings to get me. So, Matilla, ne. Pushed my coffee cup. So I allow those to run their course, and then I could move on. Vai Netilis.
Näyttikää osittain tuostalle.
Tu n'as pas tes catitis? Matilla Babes!
Matti joutuu prassa.
Okay. Bye Tillis. Can close my door. Hey, Doug Swift. Thanks. Now the wife is done at the end of the stream. But I guess that's the way it is. Hello everyone from Doig Swift. I'm experimenting. I've been testing a technique out, but unfortunately I haven't been able to fully explore it because my daughter was here and I only had to be able to draw with one hand. So I had to sit and do all the shortcuts by hand, and rather than touching the keyboard, so I'm a little bit behind the time. And also explained a little bit about my daughter's situation. A bit of a shitty stream, maybe. Pacobra, absolutely. I want to repeat this sketch technique tomorrow as well. I've been experimenting with it. It is in conjunction with previous sketch experiments, but I've been figuring it out a little bit better lately, and I'm quite happy where it's leading. But like I said, it's a work in progress, and today I did not do it justice at all. But it's a fun. In the test cases I've done offline, it works really well. One thing that I have messed up, I can say today, is that I haven't used overlay enough, because in the experiments I've used overlays it does a specific action. Pro 42, oh right, yeah. So I'll show you quickly. Yeah, it's really hard stuff that. So how overlay works. So if you have overlay and you paint on top, you see that the value there's a gradient of influence. The lighter the value, the less the influence. Right? You see? Full blast black. Yet in this area here, it hardly gets touched. So when you, the sketch technique I wanted to try tomorrow is that when you put the base down and you use overlay a lot, you're actually using the underlying difference in value range. So like if I would do a full blast black line, because there's almost no white in this, you can see a little bit there on the chest and a little bit on the gun. But if I use a mid-gray, the cap is shorter, so you can start influencing values differently depending on which value you paint with when you already have a set value range underneath the overlay layer. So what's fun with this sketch technique is because it uses the noise that you've already established. You gain complexity without losing complexity, because if I would do a new layer and paint with the same kind of darkness, I'm actually removing, you can see here, I'm actually removing information, whereas if I would do it with overlay, nothing of that information is lost. It's just layered on top. So in that way, when you sketch and you like establish the major shapes, like I did with the fat jester or the other topics from last week, and then you start adding complexity in terms of gradients and values and light information, and then you add overlay on top, you can start even more relying on the happy accidents. So it becomes this constant kind of layering, which can give some really nice complex textural results. Tonal value, yeah, exactly. So if you can like zoom in, you can see if I use very dark gray, it still keeps everything underneath. If this follow won't go away, you still see how everything is kind of remain there. So if I make a line of suggestion of detail, it keeps all the underlying value differences. So you can actually like watercolors kind of impact on top, and you can create complex value structures without actually losing brush information. But then sometimes you would want to be able to completely full blast remove textural information. So tomorrow I will try again to showcase this. Hopefully my daughter won't sit in my lap, and I will have access to shortcuts and not having to do like a one-hand painting stream. So I can fully show off the little things I experimented with. But overall, I think it's a really fun sketch technique. So hopefully I will be able to dive into it a little bit more and explain it a little bit better tomorrow. Oh, say my name. That's okay. With overlay, yeah, absolutely. It easily can go too dark. So that's why I paint a lot of times with not black and not white. You can't see it. Let's see. Okay, you can't see it there either. But I sample this dark gray most of the times. I never use black unless I really want to punch a value in. Then I use black. but I never go full black, full white in overlay because it tends to burn. Well, thank you. So let's find someone to raid. Okay, so you have a choice. Should we raid Tim Remmers? Or should we raid another gamer who plays Valorant? And Valorant is a game, like a new CSGO game. And I actually have done one game for that game. Or one gun for that game. So you can choose. Should we raid a gamer? Or Tim Remmers, or someone. Tim, right? Let's raid Tim. Okay, here's Rolos. Was it Rolo? Yeah, Rolos. Cool. You do a lot of fantasy stuff, Rolo. So it's cool to see you do a sci-fi. Nice, dirty. Smee. I don't know the name. It was like a year ago, maybe. All right, we're gonna raid Tim Remmers. See you tomorrow morning at the same time, minus 30 minutes. Hopefully I'll do better job than this. It's not too bad for one-handed 30-minute drawing, but I didn't showcase and didn't get the result I wanted. So tomorrow hopefully we'll get a better version. Anyways, do the outro, then take you to the raid. Have a good one. Toodles.